mail. Alright, so today's lesson you're going to need a calculator. So pull up the calculator on your computer or pull up your phone calculator where we're going to be typing things in the calculator. And today's objective is percent problems. And this is part 1 because it's going to be in 2 parts. So this is percent problems part 1. To solve percent problems, you set up a proportion. And just a reminder, a proportion are equal ratios. Equal ratios. So here is the key. Here's the important key. So your proportions are going to be percent out of 100 because that's what percent means, out of 100. And your proportion is going to either equal the is over the of, is over of, I'll explain it, or percent out of 100 is going to be the part to the whole. Part of the percent to the whole 100%. So these are your 2 keys. And that's what we're going to be using today. Is over of, or part to whole. Alright, so example 1, finding a missing number. Finding a missing number. So let's look at A. What is 12% of 60? What is 12% of 60? So we start with the percent. And notice I've already put the percent down in your proportion. When you put the percent in your proportion, you drop the percentage sign. So this percent is just 12 out of 100. 12 out of 100 means 12%. And now I need to do is on top, of on bottom. So when you look at this, it breaks into 2 parts. What is an of 60? What is an of 60? What number corresponds to the of 60? So that's going to go on bottom. What is? So what number is the is? We don't know, so we're going to put an X. So now I have a proportion. If you've forgotten, you cross multiply and then divide. So we're going to cross multiply, and we get 100x 12 times 60, 720. And then you divide both sides by 100, and x equals 7.2. So that means 12% of 60 is 7.2. And we'll go right there. Alright, so let's do another one together. 14 is 20% of what number? 14 is 20% of what number? So notice I found my percent, 20 over 100. You always find your percent first, 20 over 100. And then it breaks down into 14 is of what number? So 14 is means is goes on top. And of what number goes on bottom? We cross multiply and we get 20x equals 1400. And then x equals 70. So 20% is 14 out of 70. And again, we're using is over of. Is over of. Alright, example 2. Finding the missing percent. Finding the missing percent. So I showed you how to find the missing number. Now we're going to find the missing percent. 15 is what percent of 25? So you notice I don't have a percent. So I start my proportion off x over 100 because I'm looking for my percent. If you don't have your percent, then you start it with x over 100. Now I have to find my is and of. Is goes on top. 15 is of 25. Of 25. So you cross multiply and we get 25x equals 1500. And then you divide 1,500 divided by 25. And we get 60%. Don't forget to include, you have to include your percent sign because this is a percent question. So 60% is your answer, 60%. Let's do another one. 60 is what percent of 150? Again, I'm looking for my percent, so I'll start with x over 100. 60 is goes on top of 150, goes on bottom. We cross multiply. All right, so we get 150x equals 6,000, and then you divide, and you get x equals 40%. X equals 40%. All right, so you try one of each. Here's the key. Percent over 100 equals is over of. Well, A, B, and C. You try A, B, and C on your own. And then we're going to go over this tomorrow in class to see what you got for these proportions. So pause it, work these out on your own, and then play for the next slide. All right, so let's get some real world. Here we go. Write this question down. There are 245 7th graders at Wake County Middle School. I just said Wake County Middle School. If 40% ride the bus, how many ride the bus? So you can't answer that with 40% because that doesn't tell me how many. You can't say 40% because I want to know how many students ride the bus. I want to know how many students physically get on the bus and ride the bus. So we're going to set up a proportion. First thing we look for is our percent. Do you see your percent? Yes. So we start with our percent. Then we look at that other number, 245. So that is, the of, or sometimes it's better to think part to whole. Is that part of the 7th grade, or is that the whole 7th grade? So go back and read the problem. There are 245 7th graders. That is the whole 7th grade. So the whole goes on the bottom. And you're looking for x. So you cross multiply, and we get 40 times 245. Uh, 9,800 equals 100x. Then you divide both sides, and x equals 98 students. 98 students ride the bus. So again, let me just quickly review. I started with my percent, and then this was the entire 7th grade. That was the whole, so it went on the bottom to represent 100%. And out of that, 98 students ride the bus, which is 40%. All right, so example 6, another real world. Make sure you get this one down. It says 37% of the Vikings team made honor roll for quarter 2. Yay, Vikings. Go Vikings. 37%. How many did make it? How many, that sounds good. How many did make it? So how many students made honor roll? 37%, right? So how many is that? All right, so we're going to set up a proportion. 37 over 100, because we start with our percent. And the Vikings team. Okay. How many, I forgot to give that to you. How many are on the Vikings team? I know we had 128 when I left on Friday, and I think we're getting a new student tomorrow, so let's say we have 129. 129 students on a Viking team. You are going to cross multiply 37 times 129. And 37 times 129 is 4773 equals 100x. And then you divide both sides by 100. So that is 47.73. Now let's talk about it. Can you have a decimal of a student? No, we're talking about students. How many students made honor roll? So do we round this to 48 students or do we round it to 47? How many students actually made honor roll? Now in this instance, you wouldn't round up because 48 didn't make honor roll. You would have to go down to 47. So 47 students made honor roll. That's a pretty good. Just checking. So 48 students made honor roll for the Vikings team. See you tomorrow.